Today, I'm going to talk to you about the book Milei and the Awakening of the Lions, which is causing quite a stir in the United States. What if every citizen could rate and review the politicians representing them? It might sound absurd, but the reality is that we are consumers of politicians' services. With our hard-earned money, we pay politicians for their representation services, and it's our right to decide if that purchasing experience has been positive or negative. The book Milei and the Awakening of the Lions raises the issue of what's currently happening globally with Western democracies. In recent years, we as individuals have realized our power as consumers. In our pockets, we all have a small device that allows us to communicate with anyone, anywhere on the planet. That's power. This very device enables us to determine which products or services survive and thrive and which ones fade away. Through a review, we can elevate a restaurant to success or drive it to bankruptcy. It's not about one person having this power, but one plus another represents a power unlike anything we've had in history. In recent decades, governments have been encroaching more and more into our lives. Believe it or not, today we're subjected to more restrictions, prohibitions, and regulations than in the Middle Ages. This means we are less free today than we were 2,000 years ago. Absurd, right? But it's real. We've been relinquishing our freedoms and allowing the government, in other words, the politicians, to decide what we eat, where we go, and what we do with our lives. In addition to giving away our freedom, we've been transferring increasing shares of the fruits of our labor to them. This is how we see our representatives living luxurious lives filled with pleasures, surrounded by servants, chauffeurs, abundance of all kinds, all paid for by the people who barely have enough to eat. And sometimes they don't even meet their basic needs. To give you an idea of how we've regressed, let's take a trip back in time to ancient Rome. The stipendium was introduced during the Empire era as a way to sustain the army and provincial administration. It applied to all economic activities generating profits like trade, craftsmanship, or farming. The stipendium was paid in cash or in kind, depending on the state's needs. Peasants cultivating lands had to give a portion of their harvest, such as grains, fruits, or livestock. Those engaged in other activities had to contribute a share of their earnings or sales. The stipendium varied by region and historical period, but it's estimated to range between 10 and 25% of the goods value. According to the report on tax burden in Spain by blog Bankinter and another by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, an average Spaniard today pays 55% of their lifetime earnings in taxes. It's even higher in many countries. A calculation for Mexico suggests that a Mexican would end up paying 173% of their income in taxes over their lifetime. Of course, this is impossible and only prevented through tax evasion. This doesn't even include what is paid in the form of institutionalized corruption. What is institutionalized corruption? For instance, when you pay for an approved container to buy gasoline for your lawnmower, a portion goes into the porous hands of politicians who granted those approvals to certain manufacturers at the expense of others. In the book, Milei and the Awakening of the Lions, it's explained that until a few years ago, all this data was never going to matter to people. There was no way to become aware of the incredibly enslaved state we were in without realizing it. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, each day brought new regulations, prohibitions, and restrictions, adding another degree of slavery, and people either didn't find out or didn't pay attention. But today things have changed. We are the creators and judges of every product or service created on our planet. With our reviews, recommendations, and ratings, we dictate the verdict, propelling some to success and bankrupting others, and politics is a part of it all. Today, we, the citizens, hold the power of communication. That's why a presidential candidate emerged out of nowhere, with no budget or political machinery, shouting, "Long live freedom." And with that message, he's overwhelming all the traditional parties, despite the hundreds of millions of dollars they invest to surpass him. What about you? Are you still willing to keep surrendering your freedom? You hold in your hand the most powerful tool ever invented in the history of humanity. You have a powerful pocket computer, capable of communicating with the entire planet without limitations. Never in history have we been so close to shaping humanity. Never before did we have this power. Read the book, Milei and the Awakening of the Lions, or share this video with all your contacts. Becoming aware of the swamp we've been sinking into is what will help us get out of it and regain the path of a free human.